Prom, that soul-crushing mistress.
Yeah, well, she's going, and now she'll never know how I feel.
Prom night has always been one of those big cinematic milestones. You don't even have to explain it. The moment you say prom, an audience knows exactly what to expect. Big dresses, nervous dates, awkward slow dances, and probably at least one person crying in a bathroom stall. Hollywood has been using prom as a storytelling climax for decades. Whether it's the blood-soaked horror of Carrie, the rebellious dance energy of Footloose, or the social takedowns of Mean Girls. Prom is where high school stories hit their peak, all the drama condensed into one night under a disco ball. It's no wonder that so many studios have circled back to the concept over the years. For filmmakers, prom is like a shortcut to drama. You can mix romance, comedy, and heartbreak into one big set piece. And for audiences, it's instantly relatable, even if your own prom night was more awkward shuffle than movie magic. The stakes feel higher when the whole school is watching under glittering streamers and flashing lights. So, in 2011, Disney decided to throw their corsage into the ring with a movie simply titled Prom. The idea was simple: deliver a squeaky clean PG take on the ultimate high school ritual. Instead of shocking twist or edgy drama, Disney leaned into bright colors, safe storylines, and a big cast of teens meant to cover every high school archetype. No buckets of pig bloods here, no queen bees getting hit by buses, just a wholesome ensemble comedy where every character gets at least a small chance to shine under the disco lights. Disney's version tried to capture the big night excitement while smoothing away any rough edges. Rather than chasing the sharper tones of films like She's All That or 10 Things I Hate About You, this entry leaned fully into bubblegum territory. It trades teenage angst for parent-approved wholesomeness, a glossy and safe package aimed squarely at the Disney Channel crowd. That doesn't mean it's without charm, though. If anything, Prom is fascinating as a snapshot of where Disney was in the early 2010s. The studio was still figuring out its live-action lane before going all in on remakes, Marvel, and Star Wars. This movie feels like a time capsule of when Disney thought they could corner the teen rom-com market. But did it capture the magic of prom night? Or does it feel more like a school dance where the DJ only played Kids Bop? That's what we're here to find out as we move into the story itself. Film kicks off with a voiceover reminding us that high school spares no one, running through the familiar lineups of jocks, nerds, and cheerleaders. It all builds to the claim that one night unites every clique: prom night. Those words flow over shots of a bedroom bulletin board crammed with photos, ticket stubs, and little mementos. The kind of scrapbook wall any teen might have to capture those glory days. We learn that the voiceover belongs to Nova, a driven student who's heavily involved in the prom committee. Right away, though, we see that she doesn't have a date and is quietly hoping a certain guy will finally step up. Her friends keep pressing the issue, but Nova admits that Brandon has never made a move and maybe just isn't interested. When Brandon finally does appear, all he manages is a quick compliment of her posters before walking away, leaving Nova deflated and the audience instantly clued in on her uphill prom night journey. Next, we meet another student, Lloyd, who's being pestered by his stepsister about going to prom. Lloyd insists he doesn't want to bother. In his view, only about 3 people ever actually have fun at these things. The film makes it clear that prom here is a senior-only tradition, with everyone reminding him it's the night you wait 4 years for. His stepsister pushes back, pointing out that this is his last shot to leave some kind of mark on the school before graduation. It's a small but telling moment that highlights how prom is treated as a rite of passage, even for the reluctant wallflowers. We then shift to another couple. Nova reminds them to show up on time for the big king and queen crowning. The guy Tyler is practically buzzing with excitement about prom, while his girlfriend Jordan seems less thrilled. She tells him they need to talk. Never a good sign in a high school movie language. We cut over to 2 friends, Corey and Lucas, geeking out over their favorite bands as they head to class. When they spot a group of girls, Corey nudges Lucas to finally ask Simone out. Lucas, full of teenage self-doubt, brushes it off, insisting she'd never go for him because he's got nothing to offer. At this point, the movie is bouncing quickly between characters and storylines, which actually works to set the stage. It gives us a rapid-fire introduction to who the key players will be in this ensemble story. Back to Nova, who's putting up another prom poster in the hallway. The owner of the locker beside it isn't thrilled and promptly shifts the poster to the opposite wall so the crowd of girls will stop blocking his space. It's a small, funny beat that reminds us not everyone is hyped about prom. I also liked how the film keeps transitioning between scenes using the photos on the bulletin board. It creates a clever flow while also showing that for some students, prom is more annoyance than anticipation. Nova ends up sitting near the quiet kid we saw earlier, who immediately starts awkwardly flirting with the school's secretary by bragging about how he just turned 18. He casually asks why Nova is waiting outside the principal's office, but before she can answer, the principal, Mr. Dunning, calls him in. We finally learn his name is Jesse. Inside, it comes out that Jesse has been skipping his last class every Monday for the past 4 weeks. Mr. Dunning lays into him, accusing him of not caring and going nowhere fast. He bluntly says that once school is out, Jesse is no longer his problem. It's Jesse's choice whether he walks out with a diploma or without one. We cut back to Jordan and Tyler, where Jordan is clearly upset after finding an earring in his car. Tyler brushes it off, saying it belonged to one of the girls on the soccer team he drove home after practice. He tries to pivot by assuring Jordan that she's a lock for prom queen, but she's not impressed, especially since he hasn't even officially asked her to prom. She hands him the earring with a pointed look and walks away, leaving Tyler scrambling. We then see Nova and a few others working on prom decorations. When someone asks if they're finished, Nova insists there's still plenty left to do, but assures them she can handle it. Before they leave, she hands out free prom tickets to everyone. As the group disperses, Allie and Rolo strike up a conversation. Allie presses him on who he's taken to prom, and Rolo proudly claims it's his girlfriend Athena, who just so happens to live in Canada, like every suspiciously non-existent significant other. Meanwhile, Nova chats with Mei about her future plans. Mei has been accepted to college in New York, but she hasn't broken the news to her boyfriend Justin, who still believes she'll be staying close to home in Michigan. Justin shows up and brings Mei to the auditorium for his over-the-top promposal. He's going all out, explaining what each letter in the word prom means to him, complete with a heartfelt symbolism. But when he gets to M, it's clear what really matters to him, the University of Michigan, where he assumes they'll both be heading together. May's smile falters at that reveal, but she still says yes to going with him, even if the whole gesture feels more about his plans than their relationship. We're shown a montage of promposals happening all over the school. Some sweet, some awkward, all very high school. Meanwhile, Nova finishes locking up the shed full of decorations where Brandon pulls her aside. He frames it like he wants to talk about prom, but instead of asking her out, he just suggests that they drive together since they're both on the committee and need to show up early. Nova isn't exactly thrilled by this very businesslike invitation, but she still agrees to go along with it. Jesse walks home with his little brother Charlie, where their mom greets them excitedly with his freshly arrived graduation robe. Instead of sharing her enthusiasm, Jesse shrugs it off and noticing she's got home early from work. Says he's heading out to his own job early too. When he spots a door left open, he quickly slams it shut, muttering that it's a mess down there. The whole scene makes it clear Jesse doesn't have the easiest home life. His mom genuinely cares but is struggling to connect with him through his rebellious streak. Nova is patiently teaching her dad how to make a video call, clearly trying to get him comfortable with the idea so they can keep in touch when she heads off to Georgetown. The moment is sweet but a little bittersweet too. Her dad struggles with the technology, and it's obvious he's also struggling with the thought of her leaving home. Jordan and Tyler sneak into the shed with all the prom decorations, but instead of helping out, Tyler has rearranged everything to set up a makeshift romantic dinner, complete with takeout from Taco King. It's not exactly candlelight and fine dining, but it's enough for Jordan, who smiles as Tyler finally asks her to prom. She says yes, sealing the moment in true high school fashion. Nova is in her room staring at the prom ticket Brandon gave her, frustrated by how casual he was about just driving together. She flops onto her bed and lets out a muffled scream into her pillow. Honestly, it's hard not to sympathize. This is supposed to be one of the biggest nights of high school, and instead of a heartfelt invite, she's basically got offered a carpool arrangement. Meanwhile, we cut back to Jordan and Tyler leaving the shed, and the camera lingers ominously on the candle that's still burning. Sure enough, the very next scene shows the entire shed is going up in flames. Nova is at the burnt down shed staring in disbelief at the wreckage of all the prom decorations. The rest of the prom committee gathers panicking over what to do next. Nova, ever determined, insists they are not canceling, though she admits they'd have to work extra hard and realistically none of them have that kind of time. Mr. Dunning arrives on the scene just in time to yell at Jesse for parking his motorcycle on school grounds. Jesse, in peak sarcastic mode, quips about how tragic it is that everyone's special night just went up in smoke. Rather than letting it slide, Mr. Dunning decides to kill two birds with one stone. Jesse will help Nova rebuild the prom. It'll keep him out of trouble, and if he doesn't see it through, he won't graduate. Nova is visibly unamused and being saddled with him, and you can already tell this forced pairing is the movie's big "they hate each other now, but just wait" setup. Corey and Lucas are forced to wear lacrosse helmets by the varsity team, which makes them look ridiculous just in time for Simone to show up. Lucas immediately gets tongue-tied and blurts out that she should think of him as her lab partner, to which she deadpans, "You are my lab partner." Flustered beyond recovery, Lucas turns and smacks straight into his locker, cementing his moment as peak awkward teen comedy. Mei and Justin try to encourage Lloyd, telling him plenty of people would want to go to prom with him if he just put himself out there. Lloyd isn't convinced, muttering that being himself was never exactly working out. He decides to make a bold move with a promposal, taping a sign made from magazine cutouts to a locker. Unfortunately, instead of coming across as romantic, it looks more like a ransom note. The poor girl bursts into tears, convinced some serial killer has targeted her locker, and Lloyd bolts the second he realizes how badly he's blown it. It's one of those painfully funny moments where you can't help but cringe right along with him. During practice, Corey and Lucas are hanging out when Tyler strolls over and invites Lucas to his barbecue, casually telling him to bring a friend. Lucas, ever loyal, says he'll bring Corey along, but Tyler quickly clarifies that he meant a girl, making the moment both awkward and a little telling about Tyler's priorities. Nova is preparing for prom and doesn't think Jesse is going to show up, but to her surprise, he actually does. She casually tells him to move some supplies if he can handle it. Jesse shrugs off his flannel to get to work, and when Nova turns around, she practically stumbles in shock. Oh no, bare arms! In a Disney teen rom-com, that's practically scandalous. Jesse notices her reaction and asks what's up, but she fumbles for an excuse. It's clear the film is already telegraphing their eventual romance. Subtlety is not on the menu. Nova keeps her snarked out up during the scene, making it obvious we're in the classic "they bicker now but will fall for each other later" setup. Nova vents to her parents about Jesse, and her dad doesn't hold back, saying he knew Jesse's dad and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. He even calls Jesse a walking misdemeanor, which is harsh but also kind of funny in its bluntness. Then Brandon shows up at the door, all smiles, to share that he got into Princeton and is a finalist for the Dean's Scholarship. The catch? His interview falls on the exact same day as prom. He breaks the news to Nova with a casual shrug, telling her there's still time to find another date, which feels a little cold considering how much she'd been hoping he'd step up. Nova is with May and Allie getting ready for the day in the women's restroom, venting about how Brandon acted like he personally set the interview date. She admits she might just go without a date at all. May and Allie head out, and then, comedy timing, a toilet flushes and out strolls Rolo, blissfully unaware that he's been in the women's restroom the whole time. It's a silly gag, but it does add a little levity in the middle of Nova's frustration. Lloyd gives yet another promposal attempt, carefully setting everything up on what he thinks is the right car. Just as he's ready to make his move, the girl he planned to ask drives up in the exact same model, revealing that he's decorated the school secretary's car instead. At this point, it's almost comical how cursed his luck is. The poor guy really cannot catch a break. Nova is back at work on decorations when Jessie finally strolls in late again. She proudly explains her big project, a celestial fountain centerpiece, and Jessie immediately undercuts her enthusiasm, pointing out that the thing is destined to leak everywhere unless she fixes it. It's another little spark in their back and forth dynamic, equal parts banter and budding tension. Allie and Rolo are in the computer lab when Allie asks to see Athena's profile. Rolo insists she had to take it down conveniently because she was grounded after sneaking out clubbing. Yet another suspiciously convenient excuse that makes her sound less and less real. Back to Lloyd, who is giving a promposal attempt number 3. This time he's hanging a giant sign off a bridge so his crush can see it from the road. Unfortunately, timing is not his friend. A semi barrels under the bridge and rips the whole sign away just as the girl drives past. It's almost cartoonish at this point, and you really start to feel like the universe itself is out to ruin Lloyd's love life. Nova is working on the fountain, and sure enough, it's leaking everywhere, just like Jesse warned it would. He can't resist the classic "told you so," which earns a sharp comeback from Nova. She teases that for all his tough guy attitude, she remembers him crying when the class hamster died back in 3rd grade. For Nova, the fountain disaster feels like the end of the world, while Jesse shrugs it off as just prom, dismissing all the pomp and circumstance around it. Nova pushes back, reminding him how hard everyone worked, and Jesse snaps that it all literally went up in flames anyway. Realizing he crossed the line, Jesse softens and admits he just doesn't get it. Nova explains why it matters. Prom is their last dance as high schoolers, one final night with all their friends before everything changes. Corey is driving Lucas and Simone to the barbecue, but since he only has a permit, his mom has to tag along in the car. When they arrive, Simone asks why Corey isn't going too, and he explains it's a varsity-only thing. Simone doesn't exactly light up at the sight of Tyler, who gives them a quick tour before she slips away, clearly not thrilled. When Tyler tries to approach her, she bluntly tells him not to talk to her and storms off, leaving Tyler looking rattled. Tyler comes across as the classic overconfident athlete who thinks every girl will just orbit around him. Watching him get shut down feels oddly satisfying. Simone is complaining about the music, and Lucas admits he doesn't like it either. She teases him, asking if he can actually play guitar or if he's just bluffing. Lucas sheepishly confesses he doesn't know how, so Simone offers to teach him. She wraps her arms around him to show him some chords, and it's pretty clear Lucas is more focused on her than the guitar. He works up the nerve to ask if she has a boyfriend, and she admits there was a guy, but he's not available. It's a sweet, slightly awkward moment that shows Lucas's crush is turning into something more than background pining. Lucas is then telling Corey that Simone is into him and doesn't have a boyfriend. Corey, meanwhile, is sulking because Lucas forgot to wear the Friday shirt they always coordinated together. It's a small detail, but it shows how left out Corey feels as Lucas drifts towards new friends. Lucas tells Tyler he has had a great party, but the camera lingers on Corey, making it clear he's struggling with how quickly Lucas is moving on without him. Mei is looking over her acceptance letter when Justin bursts in acting like she has some big decision to make. But instead of talking about college or their future, he's only concerned about whether they should get a white or black limo. Mei snaps, pointing out that he's making every decision for her, and you can feel her frustration boiling over. It's a small scene, but it highlights how much Mei is struggling with the decision to leave for New York without Justin and how unbalanced their relationship has become. Lloyd is with his stepsister, who keeps urging him to finally talk to the girl he's been eyeing for prom. He works up the nerve and asks, only to be shot down immediately. She already has a boyfriend. She's stunned he didn't realize, pointing out they're always together. Right on cue, the boyfriend shows up and the two start making out, leaving Lloyd to walk off in defeat. It's another reminder that Lloyd's whole prom journey feels cursed from the start. Lucas and Simone are in science class when Lucas nervously asks if she wants to study after school. To his relief, she agrees. Corey, overhearing, reminds Lucas that they had already planned to study together. Feeling left out, he mutters that he'll just do it himself since it's more efficient. A little moment that shows Corey's growing frustration at being sidelined. Nova shows up at the shed and is surprised to see Jesse actually manage to get the fountain running. She's impressed, maybe even a little charmed. Jesse finally opens up and explains that the reason he skips class and is always late is because he has to pick up his younger brother from school while their mom works. Suddenly, his slacker image looks more like responsibility than rebellion. It's a nice turn for his character, showing that sometimes the bad boy stereotype hides real obligations that no one else sees. Nova softens and tells him that they'll start whenever he can make it from now on, and you can tell this is the moment she starts looking at him differently. Lucas is in the library practicing how he'll talk to Simone, clearly working up the nerve. Meanwhile, Simone is walking in the hall when Tyler swoops in, offering her a ride home and insisting he needs a talk. He presses her on why she's ignoring him, and she fires back that he never told her things were over with Jordan, something she never would have gone along with if she knew they were still together. Tyler tries to smooth it over, asking her to just give him until after prom since it's such a big deal to Jordan. Of course, right then, Jordan walks up and spots them talking in the car. Immediately turning away hurt, the scene then cuts back to Lucas sitting alone in the library where Simone never showed up. It's a tough moment that underlines how Tyler's selfishness is not only hurting Jordan, but also messing up Lucas's chance with Simone. Jesse and Nova are working on prom when Nova finds out the high school down the road is doing the exact same theme, which makes her panic that theirs won't feel special. Jesse, ever the instigator, suggests they go check it out. After some coaxing, he takes her on his motorcycle, which feels like its own rebellious little date. They sneak into the other school and look around at the decorations. Jesse scoffs, saying how pathetic it looks compared to their own setup. In classic teen rom-com fashion, they nearly knock something over, and as they steady it together, Jesse leans in for a kiss, but Nova pulls back. Before the moment can get more awkward, someone comes in and they bolt, barely escaping a security guard. On their way out, they get pulled over by a cop, and Nova is horrified that she now has something on her record. Her dad shows up furious, immediately blaming Jesse. To his credit, Jesse takes the blame, but Nova's dad isn't having it. He yanks her away, calling Jesse a loser. It's a scene that really drives home how Nova's dad sees Jesse versus how Nova is starting to see him. We then get a crosscut between Jordan confronting Tyler and Simone talking with Lucas. Jordan tells Tyler it's over. She saw him with Simone and has finally had enough. Meanwhile, Simone is apologizing to Lucas for not making it to the library. Lucas brushes it off, claiming he forgot and was with Tyler, which only tips Simone off to Lucas's lie since she knows she was with Tyler. Simone admits she would have hated waiting around for someone who never showed, and at the same time Tyler asks Jordan what she's going to do about prom. Jordan icily tells him not to worry about her and to focus on himself, something he's always been best at. It's a sharp sequence that highlights just how messy Tyler has made things for everyone around him. Jesse arrives to pick up Charlie and finds Nova there too. Charlie proudly shows Nova his baseball cards, mementos left behind by their dad. Jesse quickly tells him those cards should stay in the basement, showing how protective he is of anything connected to their father. Nova takes this moment to tell Jesse he didn't deserve to be spoken to the way her dad had, and she apologizes for misjudging him before getting to know him better. She even admits she ditched her last class just to come see him, a small but telling sign that how much her feelings for him are growing. Mei and Justin are picking out Mei's dress, but nothing feels right to her. Justin senses something is off and presses her to tell him what it is. He even says that if she doesn't want to go to prom, he won't either, though it feels more like guilt tripping than genuine concern. It's clear Mei is struggling with more than just fashion choices here, torn between her future in New York and her relationship with Justin. Meanwhile, Jordan is in her bedroom ripping down all the pictures of Tyler and tossing them away, a symbolic breakup purge that makes her feelings loud and clear. Nova and Jesse are at the diner where Jesse's mom works when a couple of guys start causing trouble. Jesse jumps in ready to throw down, but Nova steps between them and manages to get him to walk away. She tells him it's not worth it, that fighting with those guys won't solve anything. Jesse snaps back that it's easy for her to say when everything always seems to go her way. Nova pushes back, telling him her life isn't as perfect as he thinks it is. It's a solid moment that peels back their facades, his tough guy armor and her polished, perfect student image, and shows that both of them are carrying more than they let on. Nova and Jesse are dress shopping, and Jesse looks hilariously uncomfortable. The classic fish out of water boyfriend stand-in. We get the stereotypic montage of Nova trying on different dresses while Jesse reluctantly but earnestly gives feedback. It's one of those cheesy rom-com sequences, but it actually works to show their growing comfort around each other. Jesse asks why she doesn't have a date, and Nova explains that her original one bailed. Jesse insists she has to go with someone, like it's unthinkable to show up solo. Then Nova steps out in a dress that leaves Jesse completely speechless. He blurts out that the guy who ditched her made a huge mistake, and you can feel their chemistry starting to tip past banter into something more. The attendant asks if Nova wants a matching necklace, and Nova jokes that with the price of the dress, the only necklace she can afford is a candy one, a line that doubles as a cute foreshadowing of what's to come. Lucas and Corey are walking together, with Corey rattling off all the bad luck Lucas has been having lately. Then Lucas finds an envelope in his locker and, curious, asks Simone if she knows anything about it. Inside are tickets to see the band Mechanical Sandwich, with their favorite band opening for them. Simone smiles and admits the tickets are from her. Corey, standing off to the side, looks disappointed when he realizes the gift is meant just for Lucas and Simone. A small but telling beat that shows his growing sense of being left out. Lloyd is in the library chatting with a girl about books they both enjoy, and for a moment it feels like his luck might finally be turning. Just as the bell rings, he asks if the girl named Betsy has a date to prom. She awkwardly points out that they've never even spoken before, and then adds that she already has a date and can't cancel now. It's a bittersweet moment capped with her saying if only they had met sooner. Another near miss in Lloyd's string of almost romantic moments. Simone is playing guitar when the doorbell rings and she finds a letter on her doorstep. It's a promposal from Tyler insisting that his relationship with Jordan is over. To seal the deal, he gives her a guitar pick and says he's loved to hear her play. It's a classic Tyler move, dramatic gesture on the surface, but it feels more like a rebound plea than a genuine romance. Rolo is picking out tuxes when Allie shows up and presses him again about Athena. Still not convinced she actually exists. In an attempt to prove her wrong, he pulls out a picture from a Victoria's Secret catalog and claims it's Athena, which unsurprisingly only makes him look more delusional. Mei, Allie, and Nova are talking when Nova admits she's starting to have feelings for Jesse. It's a big step for her to say out loud, but the moment sours quickly when her dad overhears from the doorway. His face says it all. He's not amused, and it's clear he still sees Jesse as trouble. Jesse is at his job when Nova's dad shows up to have a serious talk. He tells Jesse that Nova has big plans for her future, and Jesse just happens to show up at the very end of them. He admits he used to be just like Jesse, but warns him not to drag Nova down while he's still figuring himself out. He makes it clear that he won't let Jesse hold her back. Lucas and Corey are talking again when Lucas decides to leave and approach Simone. She tells him that she's going to prom and can't make it to the concert because of that. Lucas forces a smile and says he's happy for her, but you can tell he's crushed. Simone apologizes, and it's one of those quietly painful moments where Lucas realizes his shot may have slipped away. Nova and Jesse are getting ready to decorate some more, but Jesse is clearly shutting down. He brushes her off by telling her just to say what she wants done and he'll do it. Then he drops the bombshell. He won't be at prom. Nova is hurt, but Jesse keeps pushing her away. He says he's wasted enough time on prom, that he's going nowhere, and that their plans will never overlap. To twist the knife, he tells her he doesn't have feelings for her before driving off. Though it's obvious he's saying it more to protect himself than because it's true. Lucas is sitting outside when he spots Lloyd striking out with yet another girl. The two commiserate over their shared streak of bad luck. Lucas admits that Simone is going to prom and will probably never know how he really feels about her. Lloyd urges him to tell her before it's too late, warning that if he doesn't, he'll end up just like him, stuck on the sidelines with nothing but regret. Justin is home when Mei shows up at the door, finally ready to tell him the truth. She admits she's planning on going to college in New York instead of staying in Michigan. Mei explains she hadn't told him earlier because she never thought she'd actually get in. Justin is taken aback and asks why she assumed he wouldn't be proud of her. A question that really shows how far apart they've grown and what they expect from each other. Jesse goes back to the diner and spots the same guys who caused trouble earlier. This time he snaps and starts a fight, throwing punches until his mom rushes out and breaks it up. It's a rough moment that shows how easily Jesse's anger can boil over. Meanwhile, Nova is shown crying alone in her bedroom, hurt both by her fight with Jesse and by how far apart they suddenly feel. It is now the day of prom and everyone is getting ready. Girls are getting their hair done, guys are adjusting their tuxes, and the whole scene has that mix of nerves and excitement you'd expect. Nova is taking pictures with her parents but can't hide her frustration over not having a date. Her dad tries to justify what he did by saying he was protecting her, but Nova storms off, upset that what would have been a perfect night all feels already ruined. Lucas shows up outside Simone's window and in true grand confession style tells her not to go to prom. He blurts out that he loves her as more than a friend, admitting he's missed every chance to say it and calling her beautiful. But the timing couldn't be worse. He realizes she's already going with Tyler. Simone looks guilty, saying she didn't know how to break it to him. She apologizes but still says she has to go, leaving Lucas crushed. It's a heartbreaking scene that drives home how Lucas's big moment comes just a little too late. At the prom, everyone is arriving and dancing under the lights. Tyler shows up with Simone but immediately ditches her to go hang out with his lacrosse buddies, which tells you everything about where his priorities really are. Nova, still without a date, runs into Brandon, who casually mentions that his interview wrapped up early and that everything in his life is going amazingly. Nova, already frustrated and feeling left behind, snaps back that no, it isn't amazing and storms off, a rare but telling crack in her usually composed demeanor. We then see Jesse clearing out his dad's basement when his mom comes in, reminiscing that the first time she met his dad, he was in a fight. Jesse mutters that he's just like him, but his mom gently pushes back, telling him that Nova cares about him and that his father would have been proud to see the man he's become. She reminds him that he's already a bigger man than his father ever was, giving Jesse a moment of quiet validation he clearly needs. Lucas goes to Corey's house to apologize for being a jerk. He pulls out the band tickets Simone had given him and instead of going alone, offers them to Corey as a peace offering. The two patch things up and head off to the concert together, a nice payoff to their friendship subplot. Back at the prom, Rollo is wandering around alone, Mei and Justin are happily dancing, and even Lloyd is actually enjoying himself with his stepsister as his date. Simone, however, is left standing by herself when Tyler comes over. She cuts him down immediately, tells him that he didn't break up with Jordan for her. Jordan dumped him, and Simone was just his rebound. Meanwhile, Mei and Nova take the stage to announce prom king and queen. When the winners turn out to be Tyler and Jordan, it's almost comical how awkward the two look standing together after their breakup. Mei tries to keep the tradition alive by announcing the king and queen dance, but Jordan flat out refuses. Desperate, Tyler asks Simone instead, and she shuts him down too. By this point, it feels like karma is finally catching up to Tyler on the dance floor. Allie then looks up and sees Rollo walking in with a beautiful girl, realizing with shock that Athena was real the whole time. Lloyd is chatting with another prom goer who tells him that bringing his sister was actually a really sweet move, giving him a rare little win for the night. Meanwhile, Lucas and Corey leave the concert only to bump into Simone outside, setting up one last bittersweet encounter. Mei asks Nova to dance, but Nova sighs that she's prommed out. Just then, Allie rushes over to say the fountain has stopped working. When Nova looks, she sees it flowing again, and Jesse's standing proudly beside it. He finally asks her to be his date, and she says yes. In a sweet callback, he gives her a candy necklace to wear. Nova laughs, admitting she thought he'd never wear a tux, but Jesse grins and says he's realized he kind of rocks it. We then get a montage wrapping up each character's storyline, tied together with a voiceover from Nova reflecting that prom is a night where you figure out who you are and how one evening can bring everyone together. It's a neat, tidy bow on this ensemble arcs, capped off with Jesse kissing Nova as they dance on the floor, the classic rom-com ending Disney was clearly aiming for. When all is said is done, I think the Nova and Jesse storyline is the clearest anchor of the film. Their opposites attract dynamic is predictable, but it at least has a bit of emotional weight and gives the movie something to build towards. I found myself actually invested in where they would land by the end, even if the beats were telegraphed a mile away. The rest of the ensemble ranges from sweet to forgettable. Mei and Justin's subplot is probably the strongest outside of the main romance since it taps into real conflict about growing up and moving on. On the flip side, Lucas and Simone's story feels undercooked, more about missed opportunities than actual development, and poor Lloyd is basically comic relief in the loop of rejection. Tyler and Jordan bring some much needed drama, but it never rises above cliche, and Tyler in particular comes off as the exact kind of high school guy you'd seen in every other teen movie. All ego, little depth. When you step back and look at the movie as a whole, it really does feel like a stitched together yearbook of teen rom-com tropes. There's a little bit of everything. Awkward crushes, secret relationships, friendship rifts, and parental disapproval. But not every thread gets the same attention. Nova and Jesse are the glue, and without them the film would feel more scattered. Still, the ensemble format has its charm, almost like flipping through a scrapbook where some pages pop while others blur together. What ties the stories together more than anything is the tone. Nothing here reinvents the genre, but it delivers exactly the level of drama and sweetness you'd expect from a Disney take on Prom. It's glossy, harmless, and safe, yet earnest in a way that makes you at least nod along. The current pop music of the time does a lot of heavy lifting here. The early 2010s songs may sound dated now, but they pumped energy into scenes that otherwise would have felt flat. It's the kind of soundtrack that might make you groan when you hear it now, but back then, it perfectly matched the spark production design and over-the-top sincerity of the performances. Ultimately, Prom doesn't soar to the heights of the teen classic. It's imitating, but it's still a fun little time capsule. The music, the colorful production, and the fact that every storyline at least ties back to that one big night gives it a nostalgic pull. Looking back, it feels like Disney's experiment in cornering the teen rom-com market wasn't groundbreaking. It's the kind of movie that, like Prom itself, you remember more for the moments and the mood than the depth of the story. And that's it for Disney's teen ensemble rom-com. But instead of letting the randomizer pick our next adventure, October gives us a special excuse to mix things up. For this month, we're going to call in on Halloween-themed movies, and what better way to start than with the 1986 made-for-TV cult oddity, Mr. Boogedy. It's spooky, it's campy, and it's pure mid-80s Disney weirdness. The perfect kickoff for our Halloween run. Let's open the vault.